You ever have one of those moments where you're just staring at the ceiling or out a window and you think, what is all this for? It's a question that's as old as we are. It's the great human project, really, the search for meaning. I mean, it's the question, isn't it? So simple, just four little words, but it's the launch pad for everything. Philosophy, religion, art, it all starts right here. Why are we here? And this isn't just some abstract, late-night dorm room conversation. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust, he saw how real this was. He even gave it a name, existential frustration. He realized our need for meaning is a core human drive, as real as hunger or thirst. And when that drive is blocked, we actually genuinely suffer. I love how the philosopher Pierre Teilhard de Chardin put it. He called it the anguish of feeling shut in. Wow. Doesn't that just nail the feeling of being trapped in a life that can sometimes feel totally random and pointless? This is why that search for meaning isn't just a hobby, it's an urgent, deeply personal need. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to look at some of the major paths people have walked on this quest. First, we'll touch on the universal search itself. Then, we'll listen for voices from the divine, explore the wisdom of the self, and our connection to the living world. And finally, we'll turn the question back to you. What is your path? So, first things first, let's just be clear. This search connects every single one of us. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you believe, or when you lived. This deep, nagging impulse to figure out our place in the cosmos, well, it seems to be hardwired into our human DNA. From this shared starting point, though, the paths go in all sorts of different directions. For a huge chunk of human history, one of the most well-trodden paths has been to look up, to listen for a voice from beyond the stars, to seek meaning from a higher power. Just listen to the power in this prayer from the Oglala Lakota holy man, Black Elk. This isn't about some complicated dogma. It's a conversation. It's personal. Meaning here comes from a real living relationship with the Great Spirit, a creator you can talk to like family. Now, if Black Elk is talking about a conversation outward, the Sufi mystic Rumi points us to a connection that's inward. He's saying that our true essence, our inner beauty, isn't just fleeting. It's plugged into an eternal divine source, this water of life. For Rumi, finding meaning is all about tapping into that spring that's already inside of us. And then there's a third approach to the divine, one built on story and promise. In the Hebrew Bible, meaning comes from being part of a covenant, a sacred agreement. Your personal life suddenly becomes a chapter in a grand unfolding narrative, all held together by a divine promise that can't be broken. You matter because you're part of the story. Okay, so we've looked up. But what if the answers aren't out there at all? What if the ultimate source of meaning is in here? This next path is all about the journey inward.
Enter Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a huge champion of this idea with his philosophy of self-reliance. He's basically saying, trust yourself. Trust your own experience. What others might call a sin or a mistake in your life, for you, it's an experiment. It's how you learn. Meaning isn't something you're given. It's something you discover on your own terms.
But now this isn't just about being selfish or arrogant. The whole idea rests on this beautiful concept, the Oversoul. The transcendentalists believed that your individual soul is just a drop in a massive, universal ocean of spirit that connects everything and everyone. So when you truly trust yourself, you're actually trusting the wisdom of the entire universe. Fast forward to our time, and you get this really practical advice from Don Miguel Ruiz. He says to take the power of doubt and flip it. Don't doubt your potential, doubt your limitations. You know that little voice in your head, the inner critic that's always telling you you're not good enough? He says to challenge that voice. Ask it, is that really true? It's a powerful way to find the real you underneath all that noise.
So this brings us to a really fundamental fork in the road. On one side, you have the modern idea of the buffered self, the self that's self-contained, that looks for all its meaning and happiness from within. And on the other side, you have this ancient call to die to self, which says that true meaning is only found when you let go of your ego and prioritize others. Two totally different maps for the same journey.
Which brings us to a third incredible path. We've looked up and we've looked in, but what if meaning is found by simply looking around us in our connection to the living, breathing world?
Seriously, just sit with this question for a second. What if we stopped seeing the world as a bunch of stuff, as a resource to be used? What if we saw it as a community, pulsing with intention, and we're just one member of that community? How would that change absolutely everything about how we live?
This way of thinking, which is so central to many indigenous cultures, boils down to one key idea: reciprocity. It's not a one-way street where humans just take and take. It's a relationship. You see the world as your relatives, not your property. And in any good relationship, you have to give at least as much as you get. Meaning is found in keeping that balance. And this ancient wisdom is now echoing in a very modern and, yes, very controversial idea called degrowth. It basically challenges our society's #1 assumption, that endless growth is the goal. Instead, it asks, what if a meaningful life, a meaningful society, is about bringing ourselves back into balance with the planet? What if the goal isn't more, but enough? So, we've got these incredible roadmaps, looking up to the divine, looking inward to the self, looking around to the living world. And maybe, just maybe, the point isn't to pick one and declare the winner. Maybe the meaning is found in the journey itself. The master of this kind of thinking, Joseph Campbell, he just nailed it. He said that's what myths and great stories do. They act as a harmonizing force. They're like the cosmic glue. They connect you to your community and your community to the natural world until everything feels whole, like you finally belong. In the end, after all these big, sweeping ideas, the search for meaning always comes back to a very personal, very practical starting point. It all begins in your own heart, head, and hands. We've walked these different paths together. So the final question isn't for me to answer. It's for you. Where will you begin?